Hello. For today's Let's Talk Squash video, I want to talk about upsets and levels. So I've just been reading about Yusuf Ibrahim's win over Mohamed El Shorbagy. And Yusuf is number 41 in the world, and El Shorbagy is, or Mohamed, sorry, I'm using first names as if I know them. Mr. Ibrahim is number 41 in the world, and Mr. El Shorbagy is number 2 in the world at the time of making this video. And that is a big shock. And it's my anecdotal observations. I don't have data. Perhaps somebody here can provide data to either prove me correct or prove me wrong. That these big upsets are much less common in squash than they are in other sports. And I think that works all the way down to the complete amateur level. I've been a club coach for many, many years. And within a club, you might have people within a range of, 5 or 10 places in a list of, the best places in the club, depending on the size of the club, who could maybe beat each other. So the number 1 wasn't always the winner in every single match. If you played the number 5 in the club, he or she might win most of the time, but might also lose. But in a club, number 41 would never beat number 1. And you would have probably said that to me, or number 2. And you would have probably said that to me the day before yesterday as well, before this match happened. You'd be like, this guy's a great player, Mr. Ibrahim is a great player, but he's not going to beat Mr. El Shorbagy. It's not going to happen. But he did. Now, I haven't seen the match. I haven't seen the highlights. Now, maybe Mohamed El Shorbagy played really, really badly. But that's part of the equation as well, that often, even if you play badly, a person who is better than another person still wins. They don't win prettily, they don't win nicely, and they don't win with a big margin, but they win. And it's my contention that within squash, you only need to be a little bit better than another player to beat them consistently. And by consistently, I mean 8 or 9 times out of 10. And by better, I mean maybe you hit the ball like this, but they hit the ball like this. Maybe your boasts are this much above the tin, but their shots are this much above the tin. Maybe they volley 30, 40% of the time, but you only volley 20 or 30% of the time. Small differences in squash seem to make big differences in results. And I've long wanted to make a video about how player A beats player B, and player B beats player C, but then player C beats player A. And that seems to go against what I've just said, that there seems to be a clear hierarchy of who can beat whom within a league or a ladder. But also different styles make for different or interesting competitions. And perhaps in this case, Yusuf Ibrahim has a style that doesn't suit Mohamed El Shorbagy, or the opposite. Mohamed El Shorbagy has a style that suits Yusuf Ibrahim's game. I can't tell you, but my question really, and it's taken a long time to get there, as it often does, is do you think that there are less upsets in squash, either at the professional or at the elite, or even at the club, just regular level, upsets within the game than there are within other racket sports and maybe within other sports? If I talk about association football, for example, in the United Kingdom, the FA Cup, there are often very small teams who beat very big teams in the FA Cup because it's a one match, win or lose. There's penalties at the end. It's really important. Whereas in leagues where you play over a whole season, you can win a few, you can lose a few but still win. But in these, knockout competitions, people get a bit more nervous. But squash is always knockout, and it still doesn't seem to happen so much. So I'm interested to hear your thoughts. Do you think they happen less often in racket sports? Do you think they happen less often in squash than in other racket sports? Do you think they happen less often in squash than in most other sports? And if you do, why? And if you don't, why? So, let's get talking. On the screen at the moment, somewhere up here, is a playlist of all of the other questions for you to look at. And probably down here somewhere is another video that YouTube thinks is a really good fit for you. And probably down here is a subscription button. If and only if you think my content is useful, please consider subscribing. And remember, do something every single day to improve your squash. See ya.